Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Harrison's Garage. I'm Harrison, and today we are going to be installing some rock lights. Now I've gotten 8 of these guys. I'm only going to be using 4 for the rock lights, and then we'll be doing another 4 for underglow on the frame. Exact same process, so we're going to be focusing on the rock lights today. Rather than mounting to the frame, we're going straight to the wheel well liner. So without further ado, let's pull them out and take a look. I'll bring you in close. We got Diode dynamic rock lights, and these guys are, well, I've been pretty impressed. So let's take a look. Okay, as I mentioned, Diode dynamic rock lights. This is how they came in the box, with one asterisk there. They did not come with their ends looking like this. I'll get into that in a minute. But these guys, hold them up here for you. I guess the one thing that really impressed me about them is they are double sealed. This lens is designed to come off. It's interchangeable, so you can get amber lights, different colored lights like that by changing out this sort of lens. It has a seal around the lens, as well as it's required to take the lens cover off in order to install it using the center screw. If you take the lens cover off, the whole assembly is still waterproof inside. The lens is not needed for this thing to run safely and remain sealed, although it is, I guess there's a secondary seal around this lens, so I guess it's twice sealed. It's from the bottom, completely encapsulated, again from the top, completely encapsulated. There are, I guess, 2 modes to this rock light. One is sort of a low power mode, and then one is a high power output mode. And there are a total of, I guess, 3 wires that initially come out of this cable. Like I said, this is not how it came. I ordered, well, when you order your rock lights from Diode Dynamics, you have a few different choices. You can order a single rock light or a rock light kit. I ordered 8 single rock lights because it was actually a little bit cheaper, and I have all of the other parts needed to install it. I didn't need switches, I didn't need wires, that type of stuff. So I just ordered 8 single lights, and when you go to order 8 single lights, you are presented with a second choice, and that is what kind of connector you want. You can get just open-ended wires or a rock light with a built-in connector. Now, when I ordered this, the rock light option with the open-ended wires was delayed. It had a lead time of like 8 weeks or something like that. So I decided I will just get the ones with the connectors and cut them off and make my own ends. So that's what I did. And that is why you see the connections kind of like this. Anyway, when you get this cable, you'll see this one I haven't put heat shrink on. There are 3 different wires that come out of this main cable. You have your red, your black, and your white. Now, I did a little bit of testing to figure out which one was which. The white wire is sort of the low output, the red wire is the high output, the black is ground. So depending on how you want to run this, and if you utilize their connector, you can run both options. I'm going to essentially get the same functionality by only using the red wire and pairing it with the Switchpro. My Switchpro has a dimmable feature in it, so I can essentially dim these lights using the high output wire in the Switchpro. I don't have to worry about connecting this white one. So I'm going to obviously seal this up with heat shrink before I utilize it, but I left this one undone so I could show you guys. So the first thing I'm gonna do today is take you guys out to the truck and show you where I will be mounting these, and then we will get some wire run. Now I've got some red wire already outside by the truck, but I essentially got 150 feet of this 12 gauge AWG. And I got 12 gauge because I was doing some long runs of it for my other accessories. I don't need 12 gauge for these rock lights. In fact, I think the wires that actually came with this, there you go. You can see in here, the wires, it was actually, I didn't have a wire stripper small enough for these wires. I think they're like 24 or 22 gauge. My wire strippers only went down to 20. So these things are incredibly small. I stepped it up to a 20 gauge wire just so it was a little bit easier to work with, had a little bit more meat on it, and I wouldn't have to worry about trying to make that connection to such a tiny wire under the truck. but it also made going from, say, a 12 gauge wire to a 20 a little bit easier than, say, going to a 24. So that's part of my wire. I just got this on Amazon. I'll take you out next. We'll get the, I guess, this black wire and a corresponding red wire for the hot side, run through a wire sheathing sleeve. Similar to this guy, this is a 1/4 inch sleeve. I'm gonna be running it through 1/2 inch. So I'll take you guys out there and show you, once I've got the black and the red run through the sleeving, where we're gonna be mounting this up in the truck. Okay guys, outside the garage now. See, I got the wiring in the loom. This is, again, the two 12 gauge wires run through a 1/2 inch loom. The way I've designed this is to run this rock light up front, the red and the black wire, along the wheel well, down the length of the truck, and up into the wheel well for the rear wheels, and connect this rock light to that rock light. And then essentially do the exact same thing on the other side of the truck, and then have a bridge of red and black somewhere near the rear axle, maybe just under the cab, have red and black crossing the two, making sort of like a capital H, if you will. I will then take, at some point on this leg, the driver's side leg of the capital H, I should say, I will connect that to my power line, and then run a ground line from the driver's side leg of the capital H to the ground line I guess the grounding bolt I used for the train horn, because it did seem to work well. So I will just make 2 connections once I've got them all. 2 connections, one to the hot line, one to the ground, and that should get all the lights wired up and ready to go. So first things first though, we need to install the lights. So come up under here. You'll see I've got 2 holes drilled for roundabout where I want them. Want the rock lights to go. The rock light itself will be mounted in the center of the light through this hole, and the wiring I've made a little bit bigger because I got to get 2 12 gauge wires through here. That will be going through that hole, and this hole itself is about 6 3/4 inches from the edge of the fender. Just take a quick measurement and then mentally put that hole sort of in the middle of the shock tower to center it in the wheel well. Again, these lights are very, very bright when you run them on the high power setting using the red wire in the light. I think it was something like 2,000 or 3,000 lumens, so much brighter than a typical rock light. So that's why I've only opted for one. I tested them out at night, and it is sufficiently bright just to have one in the wheel well, so that's what I'm doing here. Now, this wheel well is going to be a lot harder to mount this light in than the passenger side. There's a lot more going on up under here. Just here are the horns, the factory horns. There is a sort of a sound deadening product just above this, and then of course you got the fuse box up and directly that way. This access panel, which I was planning on using to get my hand in there and hold the nut tight while I screw the bolt in, is a little bit farther away, and you've got, again, the soundproofing in the way, so it's going to be hard to get that nut placed, but we're going to go for it and just cross that bridge when we get there. First things first though, we need to fish the line through. Unlike my last truck, I've chosen not to pull these liners out. There's just a lot more clips in this one. I've already got the shocks in here, didn't want to deal with that, so we're just going to fish it. So the way we're going to do that is use some of this cable I have left over from when I built my table saw outfeed table that winches to the ceiling. This cable winches it up there. I'm just going to stick it up and through here, run it down and around, and pull it out here. Then I will tape the wire to the bottom of the cable, just pull it up and through that hole, and then we can run the rest of this all the way along and bring it out to that hole in that wheel well. So I'm going to set you up and try and show you guys what it looks like getting this fish through. Okay, that definitely takes a little bit of doing. I had to come into this hole with a longer drill bit and puncture the soundproofing on the other side of this. in order to get this cable slip through. Once you do, you can come up here. This area actually allows you to see down in here. Try and locate that cable for you. There you go. You can kind of see it's shiny down there. It comes up and through. Now, when you're routing it, it can kind of end up over to the right or to the left, and it tends to want to go towards the right. It tends to want to go where those clips are, towards that 4 o'clock area of your screen, 4 and 5 o'clock. It's much harder to get it to want to kind of stay high and head towards that 3 o'clock direction. Once you get it though, it will pop out down low, down here, at which point you can do a really good job of taping the cable to your sheathing. Now, because I'm using plastic sheathing, heat shrink will not work. It will just melt this. So you're gonna have to use electrical tape and do a lot of it. Keep it thin and tight and try and clamp down on this to get it to come up and out that hole without a whole lot of difficulty. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape that off, pull it back through, and then probably meet back up with you when I'm running this cable along this side of the truck here. Okay, got the cables fished through. Wasn't too bad. Getting the sheathing here through that small hole was a little tough. I had to get a pair of needle nose out and work it through, but got it done. Next step will be to get the rest of this wiring sort of put in place and run along the edge of the frame there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop under, kind of show you where I'm gonna plan on running it, and then actually do all of that off camera because it's not that interesting. This is where it comes out. So I'm gonna run it over this body mount, and you'll see a bunch of these wires for the lift kit. These wires, I should say this loom is the loom with the hot wire for the rock light, the underglow light, the train horn, and the reverse lights. I put them all 4 in here and just ran them at once. And they're terminating sort of down there by the horn. I will probably just run this wire for this set of rock lights just down along this guy and fish it through the exact same area along the edge of the frame there. And I'll meet back up with you when it's time to get the holes drilled in the wheel well for the rear wheels. Okay, I have the wire run all the way along down here, and I'm going to be fishing it up through where I plan on mounting the rock light in this rear wheel well. Now, I wanted to tie it into the plastic and avoid the fenders, the bed, that type of stuff. So the way this is designed, that kind of means it has to go either here over, and I didn't want it to go too far over. It wouldn't really show too much. It would just be facing that direction. So in order to get this to shine straight down, I didn't have a whole lot of options. And what I decided to do was remove a factory clip. That clip itself looks like this clip or that clip. It's just in the middle, and run the bolt for the rock light straight through here. I'm going to be putting another hole about here for the wiring to go through, and then just tightening this down. Now, if you're wondering, won't that cause a problem because you're getting rid of a clip and putting a weight here? Not really. These clips are not that far apart from each other. If I zoom out here for you, you can kind of see they're not actually that far apart. And the rigidity in the plastic, you put the rock light bolt behind it, there's actually quite a bit of pressure pushing back up on my finger. I've tried this exact same mounting technique on the other side of the truck already, and it worked beautifully, so I'm just going to copy that here. So first things first, drill the hole for the wiring, get it fished through, and I'll meet back up with you when it's time to make that connection. Okay, so I thought I would show you what it's like to make the connection to the rock light, and then again to the actual wiring in the wheel well. First, I've been essentially putting these heat shrinks on the rock lights themselves first, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This heat shrink is the smallest size I can go for 12 AWG. I'm hoping it'll work with the 20 if it shrinks enough. Essentially what you want to do is line it up so that the solid soldered portion is in line with your stripped piece of wire. and then heat shrink first. So heat shrink first at the far end of it, just to get it to seal to the wire and keep it from moving. Essentially line it up in place, and it does look like it's going to work. It's shrinking sufficiently, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink probably the first third of this here. So it is now shrunk and attached to the wire. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to do the same thing for the red one next. So let's jump up now into the wheel well and take a look at getting this thing permanently connected. Okay, so the next step in this process is just to connect red to red and black to black. I'm sure my arm's in here, but I gotta kind of run a little bit quick, starting to sprinkle out. So make sure the soldered portion is over the exposed wire, and melt the heat shrink on the opposing side as well as the solder band in the middle. Once that solder band is hot enough, it will melt inside and spread the solder all over both wires, creating a really strong connection. There we go. So the solder, I don't know if you can see that at all, but it has melted and it's completely sort of gotten in between both wires. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for the black wire next. Okay. Once that's done, let that cool a little, and we will slide this heat shrink up and over, and then finalize the connection, and I'll bring you back once I'm ready to mount the light in the wheel well. Okay, I've got the rock light ready now to be mounted. I'm not actually going to show you mounting it up there because there's not a whole heck of a lot to see, but I will show you the stack up on the bolt and what I plan on doing here. So I've got this 8mm Allen washer. Now once you pop the lens cap off, there is a rubber seal here. Don't need that. Thread the bolt through, and now we can run this up into the wheel well, and we're going to be tightening it down with this washer and this nylock nut on the other side of it. It is, sorry, I said 8mm. This is an 8mm nut. This is a 5/16 Allen key. That's essentially the stack up. We're going to be doing it up there on the wheel well. So once I got that done, I'll come back with you and show you the wiring connecting the left side or the driver's side to the passenger side of the vehicle. Okay, that is the light mounted. Can't even really see the wire hole. It tucks away nicely. Gonna go ahead and now mount this lens with the rubber seal. It literally just clips into place. Now to get the lens off, again, just non-marring pry bar, get the tabs in the four corners. Anyway, get this pressed back in, and you're good to go. That's rock light installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that front one mounted up, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like when I'm tying these, when I'm tying the wire harness into the hot line and the ground. Okay, I thought I would show you really quick the connection between the two sides of the vehicle. I know I mentioned earlier, if you envision sort of a capital H, where the left leg of the H is the driver's side run of the wiring, and the right leg of the H is the passenger side run of the wiring going front to back. And this is going to be the point in the truck where I run a cross member of wiring connecting the two. This is one of those connections. I've got the exact same thing on the other side. I've just used a couple of larger black Positap connections. I like these rather than the T-taps. They're just really, really strong connectors. So what I'm gonna do is wrap this in electrical tape, keep it super covered, and then tuck it way up in there underneath the fender so it won't, and then zip tie it there so it won't be splashed by road water and debris and all that. So I just wanted to show you what this looked like before I wrapped it all up. So I'm gonna go ahead, wrap it up, tie it up, and then move on to, I think, probably connecting one of these hot wires to the, actually to the hot, or I just want to connect this red wire to the hot wire. and then I will connect a black wire. I'll run it to ground, and we'll be pretty much there. We'll just have to connect hot to the switch up in the hood. We'll be good to go. All right, apologies for the audio on this clip. It was corrupted, but we're over in the hood now. I just wanted to take a minute and show you all what making this connection under here looks like. Those are some free wires that are going to be utilized for the other accessories I have planned. You'll see those were, I think, for auxiliary backup lights and possibly the train horn. That one there is the train horn that's already been connected. The other one that I am holding now there, that is the connection I made this evening. That one is the connection to the hot wire for the rock lights. If you have a Switchpro, you don't have to worry about a inline fuse. It's already in the Switchpro. So as you can see, I've just wired them together, and that's all you really need to do. All right, truck is on. Time to test these guys out. Now, full disclosure, I've already checked, and they do work, and they are excellent and very, very bright. But what is it without showing you? So come on down to the Switchpro here. This is where I have mine set up. And we're gonna go click on rock light. I'm going to be doing the underglow reverse lights. Have the train horn already hooked up and not hitting it now, it's late at night, and the light bar. That is also still to come. But first, let's hit the rock lights. There they are, okay. I told you I tested the light itself before mounting it in the truck and decided that just one light was sufficient for the wheel well, given how bright they are, and I am still very pleased with that decision. I want to say this is like 3,000 lumens. If I'm wrong, I will put a note in the video here. But it is very, very bright. And like I said, if you run it on the white cord or the white wire in the harness, you can get I think 1,000 lumen version. So it'll run dimmer. But I believe I can dim these on the Switchpro if I want to. But honestly, right now I'm kind of liking just running it the way it is. It is perfect. So step back, get the Boost Auto Parts tow mirror lights and cab lights, also in the white, and it matches perfectly with the color of the rock lights. I was a little bit kind of, not say worried, but hopeful that it would match, and they do. So come under here. Really get to see just how bright that light is. Boom, there it is, just the one light lights up this entire wheel well, both tires nice and bright. This truck is really starting to come together. I think the next small thing I'm going to do is swap out that amber side marker light for a white one when I find something that is sort of the type of light I'm looking for. I'll be able to swap that out, and I'll of course show you guys that as well. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was a lot harder to do than I'm sure it was to watch, but for me, getting this all done the way I wanted it to is totally worth it. If you enjoyed the video, like it. If you aren't already, subscribe to the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.